Hey, welcome back. I was just reading the lyrics to that Yorktown song, and I really liked it. From Hamilton. It's good. The best parts of those songs are when they incorporate the history in a fun way. Not to be lame about it, but there are some parts of the songs where it's just kind of goofy and it has nothing to do with history. They're just doing normal song stuff. One of the lines in that song is Hercules Mulligan. I need no introduction. When you knock me down, I get back up again. that has no cultural or historical significance. Hercules Mulligan wasn't known for getting knocked down and then getting back up again. But the fact that they incorporated the Hamilton telling his troops to take bullets out of their guns because he didn't want a stray fire to give them away, that's really cool. Am I supposed to be in here? I don't even know where I just went. Oh, what's in here? I have a note, but I do want to look up that. I was afraid to look up combinations before because I thought I might see a spoiler, but combinations, Last of Us 2. Take the bullets out your gun. The bullets out your gun. We move undercover. We move as one. Seattle Day 2. Seattle Day 2. Seattle Day 2. Seattle Day 2. Wait a minute. Am I still in Seattle Day 1? Or is this Seattle Day 3? I don't remember. Sorry. These saves they have a lot of good stuff in them. Sometimes they have like upgrades and stuff, so can't miss that. I'm on Seattle Day 2, aren't I? Seattle Day 2 Hill. Okay. Apartment bedroom safe. Let's see if it's this one. 100883. It's either that or meet the business end of a bayonet. 10.
There.
Yeah. Supplements are good. That's it though. '30th anniversary. Evacuate. That's how quick it happens. Okay, I had a note. I guess I had tried to talk about this before, but I was watching the video back and I didn't really like how I talked about it. Or I just didn't really talk about it. And I added some new stuff. Westboro Baptist people. I think it's really interesting because there are these people who defect from the church, the Westboro Baptist Church, and they... Oh, that was the door. Cool. So yeah, just a 10-second reminder. Westboro Baptist Church is it's a church in Kansas, and they're very fundamentalist, and they preach very hateful things in my subjective view. I think, in most people's subjective view. They're the church that protests like funerals and stuff. The family is very smart. Everybody in the family is very smart, and you can tell by the people who defect, and they're all like, they become these public speakers, and I've been listening to them, and they're very smart people. Well, I listened to the son. His name is, well, the head of the church. His name is Fred Phelps, and his son. His name is, who was I? Is it Matthew? I don't remember. And then the granddaughter, she's very outspoken. Her name's Megan. This is where I was before, right? So this guy Fred Phelps, the head of the church, he's actually dead now, but he's very smart, and he was a lawyer, and he's a very good lawyer. So he must treat the Bible like he treats being a lawyer.
Following the street.
His logic is built on verses. I liked this idea that he's this amazing lawyer, and he's built this logic on these verses, and he's made these arguments to his kids, basically. Whenever his kids would argue with him, he would have these ironclad arguments that were kind of unbreakable, and they were rooted in Bible verses, so you couldn't argue with them.
Shit. Need to get in there.
I imagine as a lawyer that must have been very satisfying to just be just have a doctrine that was unarguable. Like, well, look, it says in the Bible that being gay is bad, so you can't argue with that. But when he was a lawyer, there were people who would argue with him, so it's probably satisfying to just be like, oh, you can't argue with me, I'm always right because it says it in the Bible. Is this a puzzle? I don't remember. Nope. I've kind of badmouthed the puzzles in this game, but I'm sure there are like puzzles that I've just missed because I've been clueless and I didn't even know they were puzzles. But the interesting thing about listening to the people who have defected from the church is that the arguments all made sense to them. Even after they left, they said, yeah, the arguments were good. It says it in the Bible. I couldn't argue with it. But there was a part of their humanity that made them feel like this is wrong. It's an interesting... It's just interesting to think about it that way. Like, that logic can sometimes can get in the way of humanity and empathy. I think this is what you're supposed to do. Oh yeah, I remember. I think this is the most complicated puzzle in the game, so are you ready? Is it falling? Oh. Oh, I forgot you.
Man, really had it.
I think that's the best way to do it. Part of that, well, the thing that Megan Phelps was saying a lot is that the thing that made her leave the church were actually inconsistencies in the doctrine. But what I would say to that is, like, even if there were absolutely no inconsistencies, you need to use your humanity because you're a human. be a human. Think about other people as humans. Don't just read words and build these logical arguments like, ooh, look at this logic and this logic. Sometimes you just have to be a person. That's kind of what the son was saying, I think. A little bit more. He kept saying, I mean, like, it says it in the Bible and it makes sense. Logically, what my grandpa's saying. But it wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right, and he knew it wasn't right.
Okay.
The thing I think that for the son was kind of the breaking point for him was that his dad was abusing him. So he would think, this isn't right. This isn't right for a dad to do to a son. Even though it says it in the Bible. You're supposed to discipline your son. And I'm sure as his dad was beating him, he was saying, this is what God wants me to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to teach you.
There's the hospital. Fuck. Thought I'd be closer.
And he knew that wasn't right. Then the defectors, they take it a step further, and I think they're both atheists now. I can understand why. Because once you start going down that road, why not just take it all away and say, well, God doesn't exist. Why would he exist? If all this other stuff is inconsistent and untrue, then why would I go through the effort of believing that God is a thing? Why would I do that? I understand, but I disagree. It's all in there, so they're not Christian anymore. All the Westboro people are very smart. Nobody knows what happens when you die. My family, my parents, my aunts, my brothers, they're all such nice people and they're such good people. That's why I want to be a Christian, because they were all good. I don't ever want to... And being a Christian, I think, helped my parents be good people. You don't need to be a Christian to be a good person. But I see the value in Christianity, and I want to be a Christian. Because a part of it is just because, well, it would be harder and more difficult to not be a Christian. I mean, why would I rebel against something that's just a nice thing that my family, that connects me to my family, and why would I want to forsake that connection? There's no reason. If my parents were abusive, then obviously that would be a reason to leave Christianity, because I would associate those two things. But I'll never not be a Christian. I've never said that out loud, but it's true. There's no reason for me to not be a Christian. Sometimes the kid next door yells. I can hear him, even with my headphones on. Sounds like a happy... Do kids just like yell when they're happy? Sounds like he's kind of happy. That's good. Anything else I want to say? There might be a cutscene coming up. Take the bullets out your gun. That's one. I guess I definitely view Christianity a lot different than most people. So, there might be bad guys here. Well, I was listening to the son, and his logic for becoming an atheist didn't really make sense to me.
Ugh, stinks in here.
I wish I had written down exactly what he said for why he was an atheist. I think it seemed pretty obvious that it was just a personal thing. Like, he associated Christianity and hypocrisy with abuse, or he associated Christianity with hypocrisy and abuse, because his father was hypocritical and abusive, and he was a Christian, and he was telling him all this stuff, and he realized there was a lot of contradictions with what his dad was saying. How could God be love and also want him to beat me? It doesn't make sense.
Fucking wolf. Serves you right.
That was the humanity part I'm talking about. Like, it doesn't feel right. If we're supposed to be loving each other, and the way we love each other is to hurt each other, it just doesn't make sense, right? So that's the humanity, that's the illogical humanity part, even though it does say it in the Bible. It does say you're supposed to stone your kids if they badmouth you. You're supposed to kill gay people. I don't think it says kill gay people. Oh. What was that?
Fuck me.
Oh, I think, okay, so I'll end there. I think the illogical thing that he didn't like, the son that made him be an atheist, was that his son asked him, what happens to people when we die, will we go to heaven? And he's like, yes, because we believe in Jesus. So his son said, what happens to my friend when he dies because he's not a Christian? Will he go to hell? And the dad was like, yeah. And the son started crying, and he was like, that makes me so sad. And then the dad started crying, and he's like, that makes me so sad. And that's the point where he became an atheist, I think, because he thought, why would a God condemn people to hell? And he was thinking, how long is eternity? It's forever. It's hard to grasp. Once he started to understand how long eternity was, he thought, how is that fair to condemn someone to an eternity of torture? How is that right? Because it's bumping up against that humanity part again, which is like, how is a God of love going to condemn someone to hell for eternity? I kind of understand that point. When you say that to a real Christian, sometimes I don't think I'm a real Christian, but they'll say, our sin condemns us to hell. God saves us. And then an atheist would say, but God created everything. So he created the devil and hell, and by creating us, he condemned us to hell. And then the Christian would say, but it's by our choices that we condemn ourselves to hell. If we follow God, then we go to heaven. But why would God create such a world where hell is a possibility and everybody's situation is different? So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how I feel, but I guess a good Christian would say something like, well, nobody knows who's going to heaven. Nobody knows who's going to hell. It could be everybody. Most Christians would say that. Nobody knows what's going on in your heart. Nobody knows if you're actually going to heaven or hell. But then they'll go and say, if you don't believe in Jesus, you'll go to hell. That's what Christians that's kind of like the main point of Christianity. Believe in Christ, go to heaven. So it's hard to disagree with that. But where I would disagree is where I would say, what does it mean to believe in Jesus? What does it mean to give your life to Jesus? Do you have to actually say the literal words? Do you have to actually pray them? Oh God, forgive me for my sins. Do you have to say the exact words? Or do you just have to to try to be a good person and to always say you're sorry when you make a mistake and to try to be good. Is that enough? If you live your life that way, will you still get to heaven? I don't know. Is heaven even real? I don't know. Nobody knows. Christians believe heaven is real, but we don't know. So if a Christian tells you they know heaven's real, they're lying to you. We believe it's real, but we don't know. I was going to say one more thing, but I forgot. I don't know. Maybe when you die, Jesus comes to you in a vision and he's like, I'll give you one more chance. Do you accept me? Or do you forsake me? And if you accept him, you go to heaven. I mean, that's what happened to the thief on the cross, right? Why does he get an opportunity to save himself and someone else doesn't? What was his name? Dismas? That story's in the Bible for a reason. Maybe before we die, we all get an opportunity to accept Jesus for one last time. Because the thief on the cross did, right? That's the whole point of that story. Even the thief on the cross, he can live his whole life and be a terrible person. He could steal stuff. And in his last moment, he could say, I'm sorry, God. What do I have to do to get into heaven? I lived my life the wrong way, and I'm sorry. And Jesus is like, what does he say? I don't really remember, but he's just like, well, do you believe in me? Do you believe I'm God? And the thief is like, yes. And then Jesus says, I'll see you in paradise. There you go. So before we die, maybe we all get a chance. Is that any more ridiculous than believing that a human was the son of God who created the universe? I mean, it's all ridiculous, the stuff we're believing. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. So why don't we just believe the nicer thing if we can believe what we can believe? Right? I think that's all I wanted to say. Who am I talking to? Is it any more ridiculous than believing that a dude got eaten by a fish and he spat him up 3 days later? God turned Lady into a pillar of salt, and he turned into a fire tornado, and he parted the Red Sea, and Moses walked through it and swallowed the Egyptians in the water. Turned the oceans red. It's all crazy stuff we believe, but so let's just believe the nicer things, right? I guess that's it. I'm way over, so be good, be nice, and then yeah, I guess that's it. Just be nice and let God decide what happens to you. You can't really control it anyway, so I guess take Pascal's wager and say, okay, I'll do this prayer. Jesus, I'm sorry for being a bad person, and I believe you're God, and that's it. I mean, if you're a Christian, that you believe, that's all you really have to say to get into heaven. So just do that, and then try to be a good person. God will be inside of you, and be good. And I'm way over, and goodbye.